Bishop Jakes, do you think being comfortable is a sin to be repented of? Not just, this is an important thing to do, this is a political thing to do, this is a gracious thing to do, but it's an obedience, holiness, sin issue thing to do.
Well, I don't think that we can fulfill the Great Commission in our community. Mm-hmm. If he said go into all the world, you can't just pick the houses you knock on. And so I think it is certain levels of sin, but I don't think it is always easily identified. The thing that I try to avoid is using terms that create images that are counterproductive. Mm-hmm. When you label something as racist, people get sheets in their mind and burning crosses. And so they say, oh, I'm not that. They're not talking about me. So when you start talking about who's in your life, who do you run around with, who do you interact with? So when you start getting, and you start saying, well, basically so-and-so and so-and-so and so, or I say, it can be any people groups, basically so-and-so. So then all of a sudden I have to begin to come out of my safety zones and come into your atmosphere. And when you come, you almost have to go back to being a baby again, because you can't trust what you see when you walk into my atmosphere, because you are seeing it through the eyes of your history, not mine. Mm-hmm. So your conclusions about my worship or my praise or the way I raise my children are white conclusions about black realities, or black conclusions about Latino realities. You have to be humble enough to go all the way to ground level zero and learn how I think. Not just what I did, but how I think. How did I get here? Because all of us got here through generational ideologies. So when you come into that atmosphere, you can come in there and you can say, oh, look at them, they sang this way or they did that way. You're looking at it through your Catholic eyes or your Presbyterian eyes or your Lutheran or your Pentecostal eyes. All of that informs you. So what you have to do is say, what is that? What do you think when you do that? What's that? You have to become a student again. And I think that's good for us if we have the humility to do it. Here's the sin. The sin is in the pride.
There you go.
That stops us from admitting that we don't know everything. That's where the sin is, the arrogance that we must always be the teacher and not the student. And that of all things that we fight about and tweet about and blog about, the thing that God hated the most, if he could ever get a voice in our church, is pride.
Yeah, I'm better than you.
Yes, and that's the thing. Nobody blogs or tweets about that.
Yeah.
Because often we have it and it goes untouched. Mm-hmm. It is not just the lust of the flesh or the lust of the eye. The third dimension is always the strongest. It's not the outer court, the inner court, it's the holies of holies. It's not the body, it's not the soul, it's the spirit. It's not just the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye. It is the pride of life. That is the worst. The third dimension is always the strongest. And that we don't teach about, preach about, because it grows in our garden without ever being weeded.
Bam!
That was beautiful, James.
Beautiful. That was my contribution. I'd like to just say, bam. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you.
Bless you.
It's about 3 minutes left. I'm just going to give them to you.
Okay. Okay. I think that this is something, first of all, I congratulate the fact that we can talk about it. We have to be able to talk to each other and find somebody who is mature enough and healthy enough to talk to, and then say to them, I may say something stupid, and if I do, tell me.
Yes.
Because you're going to say something stupid and not even know it because it's new. And that's the only way you can learn. And then take the gloves off and let's begin to talk. I would remind you that the people that God used the most mightily in the Bible were people who were multicultural. He takes a Hebrew baby that floats down the Nile and is raised an Egyptian and then trained by the Midianites. And he goes back into Egypt and leads the greatest revolution of the Old Testament. He takes the Apostle Paul, who is of the tribe of Benjamin. Concerning the law, he is zealous. He is a Pharisee, but he's also a citizen of Rome. He is multilingual. He is multicultural. And he was able to become all things to all people because he was so diverse. It is very important, if you're really serious about being used by God, that you understand that God is bigger than you. And to be able to translate what he has done for you into the languages of the world is the opiate of the hope of his calling toward you. And I would say to you that the Lord is saying, who will go and work for us? If you're serious about saying, send me, I'll go beyond your area code and your zip code and watch God use you in an amazing way.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.